I'm the such fun gifts tech guy. I've been elected to this illustrious position. Anyway, we're going to talk about a couple of different phones today. I know you guys are really excited because a lot of people have questions. There are two phones that are pretty much battling it out to be the flagship phone of the world, the two hottest phones in the world, the two most powerful smartphones in the world. And they are, dun 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 dun, this is the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's huge. Look at the size of my face. It's the size of my face. Versus the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Dun 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 dun. These are it, ladies and gentlemen. Two of the most popular, most powerful, most influential, most sought after telephones in the entire world. This iPhone, I could only get a 256 because the 512s are very, very difficult to get. Hey, supply and demand, man. But the Samsung, a little easier to get. It's been on the market for a little while. And this is a 512. Both of these, you're stuck with the storage in them. You cannot add storage to either of these phones. You used to be able to put a micro SD card in the, I'm backwards here, I hate that, in the Samsung. But now you can't do that anymore. They've decided, hey, you got enough there, just upload everything and subscribe to our cloud, blah, 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 blah. Okay, lots to cover on this. I want to do this real quick and try to get out of here in 25 minutes because I got to eat dinner. I have things to do. All right, number one, ports. Let's talk about ports. Number one, the iPhone, right? Why? Everything else in the Apple environment has gone USB-C. Well, they don't call it USB-C, whatever they're calling it, but it's a different port. And finally, I thought we were getting some kind of semblance of normalcy, of like a standard. This is a USB-C cable. It's hard to see on this camera. And my Samsung takes it. It's great. The iPad Pro takes it. Like everything in the world, PCs take this thing. We're finally getting to a standard that everything can use. And of course, the iPhone's like, oh, well, wait a minute. I know the iPad Pro is USB-C. But why don't we just put the lightning cable is in the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And yeah, it's back. Well, they didn't go to USB-C in the iPhone for some reason. And that's my biggest complaint. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. Now the whole world's going towards this USB-C standard. And iPhone decides to buck the trend. And they're going to say, hey, we're going to put a lightning port in there. So after I got rid of all my lightning stuff, I have to go buy it again. Because I need microphone adapters. I need memory and storage adapters. All kinds of stuff that I need that needs to be lightning again. Because this is my weird story. I started with the first iPhone. I had one of the first 6 iPhones in the area I live in, Central Florida. So I'm one of those guys that has to get the new technology first. Right, so iPhone, it was the original iPhone, then went 3G, and I think I went 4 and 5, and I think I finally flipped at about right before the 6 came out, and I decided, let me try these Android things. There's a lot of big buzz on Android, and it's pretty cool, and I stayed with Android for years, but now I was forced to go back into the iPhone recently for reasons I can't talk about here, but it's, all right, we'll talk about that. We'll get into it. Let's see. So both of these things, they do not come with power adapters anymore. I think the iPhone came with a Lightning to USB cable. I think it was Lightning to USB-C, as a matter of fact, in the box. But the power brick is gone. They're assuming that you've had so many of these phones by now, you probably have a power brick sitting around somewhere that you can plug into a USB cord and get power to these things. And these both take the wireless, I believe it's called Qi, QI, wireless Qi, however you want to say it. But yeah, you just pop them down on a wireless and they charge wirelessly, and the wireless charging is pretty good and it's surprisingly fast. So yeah, neither of these are going to come with a power adapter, and really it's no big deal. But if somebody like your grandparents are coming into this thing and they have like an iPhone 4 and they're it happens. They have a flip phone and they're finally upgrading. They're probably going to need to buy an adapter. I mean, they're cheap. They're under $10. It's no big deal. There's a bunch of them out there. Can you really tell the difference between all this stuff? Yes, but as far as adapters and power bricks go, probably not. They're all going to work the same way. Get something with a name brand, you're going to be safe. All right, screens. Everybody's saying, what are we going to tell them about screens here? Well, screens are about the same size. These are both in cases because when you have a phone at this price level, you really shouldn't carry it around without a case. This one has a carbon fiber case because it's really not going to protect it any more than a silicone case. So yeah, I mean the screens are big, and you want to protect them. And my iPhone has a screen protector on it. My Samsung does not, and I don't really have a reason for that because the screen protectors work great. They're going to feel your finger go through it. As a matter of fact, this Samsung has a fingerprint sensor in it. So you can open this up and put your fingerprint on it. Don't copy my fingerprint, you hackers. And it will open up if I line it up correctly. So that's pretty cool, right? And it goes right through the screen protector, but I decided not to have a screen protector on here. The iPhone, let me be honest, it's a lot more expensive to repair an iPhone screen, even if you have Apple Care. Apple Care takes a big chunk of it out, so it's probably a good idea if you're giving it to kids or somebody who drops their phone a lot. You probably want to get Apple Care. They're going to give you a significant discount on screen repair, but you have to do it at an Apple store. So hopefully you live close to one. I knew somebody who lived like 120 miles away, and a whole nother story. Okay, so they're about the same size. They're both, I believe, they're both OLED, very bright, very colorful, very beautiful. Can I tell the difference between this? My untrained eye, let me be honest, no, I can't. I cannot tell the difference between these screens. I looked at them in the day, I looked at them at night, I looked at them outside. Both beautiful, big, bright, gorgeous screens with tremendous amounts, billions of colors that probably I can't even see. Do you know women can see more colors than men? It's a true fact. Look it up. It's on Wikipedia. Believe everything you can read. But the screen, I think they're about 6.7 inches, so it's huge. I mean, it's like a mini iPad in your hands. And I see these girls running around with these things in their back pockets. You know, they wear these little, I don't know what they call them, short shorts. What are they calling them now? I don't know. But people are wearing these days, and their pants are like here, and the phone sticks out this far. So they've got to be dropping them, and that's a perfect case for Apple Care or some kind of insurance. Okay, I'm not an Apple Care salesman. I don't care what you get some kind of insurance, because when this much of the phone is hanging out and they're running around, oh hi Bobby, oh, let's go party, it's gonna fall out. It's gonna fall. It's gonna hit the ground. You're gonna crack your screen, and you're gonna be miserable because I see a lot of kids running around with cracked screens too, because they are kind of expensive on the iPhone to repair, and they just deal with it. They put a piece of plastic over. I see people put tape on them, and they work. Somehow they still work. So protect those screens. All right. Both, I think, OLED screens. I think the Samsung is AMOLED. I have no idea what that means, but you don't need to know what that means because it doesn't really matter. I'm talking to the average consumer here, okay? We have these hoity-toity people who review things for magazines. And, oh, I'm very important. I review things for magazines. You must listen to me. And you really don't need to listen to those people because they're really overselling it. They're telling you about features that you will never use and you will never notice. I'm being straight up with you, down to the. Oh, I just turned my flashlight on. Well, that's annoying. But yeah, I'm telling you exactly what the average consumer is going to talk about, and that's why people dig my reviews, because I'm talking to you, you and me, we in the room. You know what I'm saying? Peace. Cool story, bro. So yeah, screens are great. No big difference in the screen. I'm gonna tell you a bunch of things, and you're gonna be like, wow, I can't tell the difference between these phones. And really, that's ultimately where we're gonna come to at the end of this thing. That's a spoiler alert. So yeah, screens are amazing. Now cameras. You're going to see the Samsung looks like it has a whole bunch more. It looks like there's 5 cameras or 5 lenses. There actually are 5 CMOS sensors in there. And the iPhone, I think, has 3 or 4 in here. So we've got a whole bunch of sensors in here, the bottom line. Let me tell you about the Samsung. It's been amazing. We have filmed movies on a previous model of this. We've shot television shows, YouTube shows, and taken professional stock imagery that has been downloaded millions of times on the Samsung. Not this model, the one before it. And this is even better. This is the most amazing camera I have ever seen. But, all right, I'll tell you what's going on here. So the Samsung, if you're a non-pro photographer, are you going to tell the difference between the Samsung pictures and the iPhone 12 Pro Max pictures? And probably not. I'm going to be straight up with you. You're probably not going to be able to tell the difference in the pictures. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures I took with both of these things in the last couple of days. And tell me if you can see the difference. They probably can see a difference, but they're going to be so subtle and it's going to be so meaningless to you, the average consumer, the person who takes snapshots of your friends and your kids and going to Disney World. You're not going to care. It's not going to matter to you. So let's tell you about the Samsung. This has a 108 megapixel wide perspective lens. 108 megapixel. And we're coming from 12 megapixels. Now we're going to 100. That's not a typo. That's 108. 108 megapixels. Now to use that, a professional photographer is going to put it in RAW mode, which means uncompressed, and it's going to be a file size like 70 megabytes, however big a raw uncompressed 108 megapixel picture is. You will never do that. I mean, the reason you would take a picture that big is if you were going to blow it up and put it on the side of a billboard, and you don't want to see the pixelization. I mean, these reviewers, they nitpick down a little pixel. You are never going to see that. You're going to print it out. Maybe you'll do a poster size, maybe an 18 by 24. That's as big as you go. And I've done iPhone 5 pictures on posters, and they look great. I'm telling you, unless you're like looking at it with a magnifying glass. But no, let's be honest, nobody does that. You don't do that. You don't go up there, well, let me see here. I see your pixels in there. You don't do that. No one does that. Let's not be foolish about it, okay? So these cameras with 108 megapixels or 12 megapixels, which is their ultra wide, and they have a 10 megapixel telephoto lens. And there's a couple of different zooms on this thing. This is interesting. So they have a 3 times optical zoom. And that's a pretty big deal because it's hard to do in a flat phone, in a phone that's this thick. So they've got mirrors. It's like a submarine thing. It kind of shoots out and hits mirrors. So it's a 3 times optical zoom, and then I think there's a 10 times digital zoom. And a digital zoom, you really don't want to use digital zoom if you don't have to, because that's where you get all the pixelized, nasty images. You have no idea what you're looking at there. You know what I mean? You really don't want to use a digital zoom if you don't have to. I mean, if you're like a private investigator, you might, hey, that's my perp there. I want to make sure I get his license plate. Let me zoom into it. But you're probably never going to do that. If you can't get that close, I always say use the human zoom. Just walk up to it. As close as you can possibly get. Now, wildlife is going to be a little different, and that's where the Samsung shines, because there is something in here called space zoom. And I took a picture of a gardener, and I can't show you that picture in this stream because it is so good. He was about, I'd say, a football field 100 yards away. And I took a wide picture of him. I see him there with his rake, and I get closer. I went 30 times, and I went to 100 times. And I could actually read the pamphlet he had in his back pocket. It's pixelized. It was nasty. It looked terrible. You'd never want to use that picture anywhere, but you can do it with the Samsung Galaxy S21. You can go up to 100 times digital zoom, not optical. Now, you can buy things that attach to this thing, but then you're getting crazy. At that point, you might as well just buy a camera and get the real glass, because you're never going to be able to duplicate that on a phone. But for snapshots, people, family, average consumers, you and me, shooting movies, this is awesome. A wonderful camera. Also has a laser autofocus sensor, so it shoots laser. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if you can see that on that stream. I think there is little lasers in here, but you can't see them with the eye. And I always wonder if they're going to hurt you. Do you see anything? Oh, wait. Let me go this way. You see anything? You don't see any lasers? Okay. There's probably infrared, or I don't know. Maybe they won't hurt you. Hopefully they won't hurt you. Goodness knows. All right. The Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max. 3 lenses in here. It's got a 12 megapixel wide angle lens. Not super wide, not as wide as some of the other ones, but wide enough to capture some scenery, or if you're at a sporting event, you want to capture the entire field, that's going to be more than enough. It's got a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It's going to give you a little bit more, and then there's a 12 megapixel telephoto, which is, I think, is a 2.5 times optical zoom, and you can also pinch and zoom into this thing and get your digital zoom on in this thing too. But again, I don't ever recommend doing a digital zoom because it looks terrible. I mean, just take the picture as best you can. You can zoom in on a picture later on, but once you've taken that picture with the digital zoom, it's always going to be pixelated. You don't have a choice at that point. So just pinch and zoom once you've taken the picture if you want to zoom in on it later, so at least you have the original picture, which is not ugly and nasty and pixelized, if you know what I mean. All right. Also, again, both of these cameras, let me show you some pictures I took with these things. So a little bit earlier today, I went out and took some pictures of these flowers. Oh, look at the stars. They're so cute. Get out of here, stars. And look on the left, the Samsung S21 Ultra. You can see, I think it did a little bit better. And red and green are two of the most difficult colors to deal with for these CMOS sensors. And I think personally, I mean, it took them almost from the same viewpoint, exactly like a second after each other. It's really hard to do this at the same time. There's really no rig that does this. But you can see that the S21 Ultra seems to have
throttled down on the reds a little bit. You can see a little bit more detail on the flower and on the leaves. Although the greens are a little bit richer on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. You can see the red kind of pops a little bit. It kind of almost overemphasizes some of the colors on there, as you can see. You can see with your own eyes here. So I thought the S21 won this particular battle. But then let's go to the next one. And I took a selfie of your average millennial. And if you look on the left, the S21 Ultra gave me a little bit more skin pigment, and it didn't make my wig look as gray. Oh, yeah, that is a wig. But the iPhone 12 Pro Max made my wig look gray. So this was kind of weird. So it gave me a little bit more color. Which one is closer to real? It's probably somewhere in the middle because these phones take an artistic license and are like, all right, well, I think that's skin, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more orangey or tan or pink or brown or whatever color it is. So the one on the right here, the iPhone 12 Pro Max actually made it look more gray. It's less warm, I think. So I'm kind of digging the S21 in this particular situation. I went out and took a picture with the wide angle. Oh, this was the zoom lens. This was the Samsung. This was a picture of a deer. How far? This was at 30 times zoom. So I'm into digital zoom here. I didn't want to go to 100 because, again, the 100 is going to be pixelized. But that is a pretty sharp picture from like way across a parking lot, way across. You know you can't get close to deer. So you know this guy was pretty far away. And it's pretty darn clear. When you zoom in on it, he's actually, I wonder if I could do that here with the software. This is the first time I've used this streaming software. Let me see if I could zoom in on Bambi over here. But it looks really sharp for what it is. I mean, you can see the colors in her face. I'm assuming this is a girl. I don't know anything about deers. They scare me. But yeah, the colors are good. They're not oversaturated, I don't think. What do you think? It's kind of nice, right? I don't see any particular problems here with this particular picture. I like it. And let's take one more. I took this with the iPhone, the 12 Pro Max. And I wanted to see how it did with purple and yellow and a contrast of some different colors in the portrait mode. And I think it looks pretty darn sharp, don't you? It did a really nice job with the purple, almost lifelike. If you look at this and you actually look at the flower that's outside the apartments here. Very, very nice work with the cameras. And again, can the average consumer tell the difference between the cameras in these two things? Maybe subtle differences, maybe skin tones, maybe some colors of the sky, but you can always tweak them in a program like Photoshop or something, and that's what people do. Professionals do that too. So you can't go wrong with either of these cameras is what I'm trying to tell you. If you do feel you have the need to zoom into something at 100 times, they call it space zoom because you could actually zoom into the moon. I tried that, but it came out terrible. You could actually do that with this thing, and you take a pretty cool picture of the surface of the moon. I mean, you're not going to see any space junk up there, but you're going to see really cool detail on the surface of the moon, as you can see through like a small telescope. So very, very cool cameras. You can't go wrong with either of them. I love them both, to be honest with you. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Samsung, only because I like bells and whistles and features, and it's got a little bit more to play with. But again, the Apple camera is fabulous also. All right, let's go on. We're running through a lot of time here. The time flies. Now, you may have heard of the pen. Now, this pen is only usable on the Samsung Note devices and now the S21. I think the Ultra and some of the other ones it is also usable now too. But you can actually draw things on the screen with this. Now, have I ever used it? Absolutely not. I have never used it, but I can tell you my wife uses this all the time. And, oh, I can't show you that one. Let me show you a new one here. You can actually draw things on the screen. You can change the colors. If you're an artist, you might find this very, very cool. This in the Note series. I understand, I'm hearing rumors that the Note series may go away and be replaced with the S22. And it comes in a handy little thing on the side here, and it's always with you. And if you lose it, they're not too expensive. I think we've lost a couple of these things. Points do wear out after a while, but if you like to draw things or handwrite notes, if you're in that realm where you like to do that, you feel better about writing things with your hand, then the S21 Ultra is going to give you that pen option.
It doesn't come with the phone, it comes with the cases, and the cases are fairly inexpensive. You can find those on Amazon as well. Lots of fun with the pen. Do I use it? No, I never have. My wife uses it all the time. No pen option with the, I keep turning the flashlight on, that's awkward. No pen option, although you can get the pen with the iPad. Now, the iPad, this is really strange in Apple's environment. I don't understand why they do this, but I'm sure they have a reason. They're smarter than I am. The iPad and the iPhone are very, very similar in how they function, how they operate, the operating systems on them, the apps available for both of them are very, very, very similar. However, the difference is you can't use a pen and a lot of the accessories. And remember, you have a lightning adapter on this guy. And you can use USB-C on the iPad. A lot of people ask me, should I get an iPad or an iPhone? I'm saying, if you need to do any kind of serious work, then you're probably going to need an iPad. But although you can do a lot of things on the iPhone as well, but there really is a difference. The iPad is like a mini computer, so you can't substitute the iPhone for an iPad. You can't do it. It just doesn't work. Maybe in the future you can. I don't know. So Samsung wins with the pen. If you dig the pen, you want to draw, you want an artsy person, you probably want to get the S21, the Galaxy S21 Ultra. How about batteries? People ask me about batteries. This guy has a huge battery. It's a 500 milliamp battery on it, which lasts about 2 days without charging it, depending on how you use it. I mean, if you're using the heck out of it watching videos, taking a lot of pictures, and it's always on, and you're very active socially, then it may not last that long for you. Fortunately, there are battery cases now available for these things that you can pick up on Amazon. The iPhone is about 3,700 milliamp hours. So we're talking 5,000 versus 3,700 milliamp hours. Curiously, the battery life is rated about the same. They've done tests on both of these phones using them pretty much the same way over the period of a day or two. And I think because the battery is so much bigger in the S21 Ultra, it lasts a little bit longer. I think they get an extra 30 minutes because it's a 500 milliamp. Curiously, it doesn't do much to the weight because the weight of these things is almost identical. They're just over 8 ounces without a case. And that's pretty amazing that even though the battery is significantly bigger in the Samsung device, that they weigh about the same. So that's kind of, it's weird. I mean, if you think about it, batteries take up a lot of weight. And for some reason, these things weigh almost exactly the same. They both feel real good in your hand, too. I mean, you have big hands. You should be kind of adult size hand. You don't want to give this to like a 6-year-old because they're like, I'm gonna drop it. You know how that is. It's ridiculous. I call this, when I ran computer care clinic, I used to call this factor intuitivity. Is it intuitive? And there's really no good word for intuitivity. If you know what a word for that is, let me know because I need to learn it. But as far as intuitivity, I'm talking about usability, really, is what I'm talking about. So which one is easier to use? TBH, Android all day, man. If you're looking for something on Android, you can type in the search feature up top. It pops up. It's there. The Apple, if you're just coming into this environment and you don't know how to do anything, you're going to end up going to Google 24/7 looking up how to do things on this phone. And I'm a tech wizard, okay? I'm a millennial tech wizard. I don't know what I'm looking at on this thing. I got to go to God. How do you do that? Because they changed a lot of things too. They took a lot of stuff away. I wanted the battery indicator to tell me the percentage. It doesn't do that anymore unless you download an app. Now it just gives you the little indicator up here, but it will not tell you the percentage unless you pull it down. And there's widgets on both of these too. So it'll tell you when you pull it down, it'll show you how much battery life is left on this thing. But now you got to do an extra thing. You can't just eyeball it. And what really made me mad is they took the step counter away. I watch my steps. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight here. I'm sure a lot of people are. Now on the Samsung, it shows you right here. I can put this little widget that's built into the Samsung phone right here. It's going to tell me how many steps I have. I know yell at me. I only have 942 steps. I know I haven't done a lot because I'm prepping for this thing. And also, I like the weather up top. So I need to know when I go out to walk my dog, am I going to need an umbrella? Is it hot out? Should I wear shorts? Should I wear my Crocs? Yeah, I wear Crocs. And that's all right here on my home screen. And I have my home screen exactly the way I like it. I love the way that I can arrange this virtually any way I want. I can make all widgets on my home screen. Apple is just not that flexible in terms of setting up your screen. Now, I did manage to set it up similar to the way that I like my Android device.
Anyway, I had to download a couple of widgets to show my step counter and also the weather on my home screen. I was finally able to get it similar to that, but I think it's a lot easier to do it in the Android environment, if you feel me. Now, most of the apps are, they come out for the iPhone first. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Why? Because iPhone penetration in the United States is about 60% versus Android, which is about 40%. And the United States of America is the only country where iPhones exceed Android penetration. I don't know why that is. I don't know. It's well, actually, we'll talk about that later. I have a theory. So people follow the money. So they're going to write the apps for the iPhone first, and then they'll get around to the Android. Oh, we'll get around to the Android. So you usually see a month to maybe even 6 month lag by the time you can get your favorite app, like a game or some kind of app or something for, we had our apartment complex here has this app, social app for it, and it took like 6 months for it to port to the Android after it already hit the iPhone. Everybody's like, yeah, I got this. You're not seeing this already? No, I'm not, because that's not on Android yet. So they will come to the iPhone probably first. Big companies will probably release simultaneously. They'll wait for them both to be ready, but smaller stuff, little apps, and some of your most favorite stuff, some of the most popular stuff will probably hit the iPhone first. So if you need to have it first, then iPhone is your obvious choice for that particular situation. Uh, Fanboy power. We have to talk about that. App customization, OS intuitivity. I can't even say my own word that I invented. Fanboy power. Well, you know, anything that has an Apple on it is going to be socially more powerful than a Samsung or a Motorola or a Google device. Why? I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe you're smarter than I am because celebrities endorse those. I don't know what the reasons are, but if you want to be stylish, if you like to drive a name brand car, if you like to carry name brand purses, if you have to have little emblems of things on your shirts, then you're probably going to want an Apple device because it's a logo, it's a trademark, it's popular. It says, hey, I have status, I'm better than you. Not that that necessarily means a lot to normal people, but to some people it does mean a lot. So, yeah, if you're styling, you probably want to do the iPhone. That's your fanboy power. And the question of the day, Mother's Day is coming up. Should I upgrade mom from that terrible iPhone 5C she's still carrying around? Look how small and cute this is. First, look, this one could eat it. This is the 5C, and this still works, believe it or not. I still have this hooked up for one of my business accounts because it's just so adorable. Look at it. It still has a home button. God, I missed that. And a headphone jack. Remember those? How many headphones you got laying around you can't use anymore, right? And this has a lightning port to show you how old that is. You would think that Apple would kind of get away from something this old. 5C. This came out when the 5s were around. It has a plastic case. It's in that television show called Younger. Like the first season, she runs around with this little lime green phone. Everybody had them. Love that phone. And a lot of people still love them. A lot of people still have them, believe it or not. I still see them at the supermarket in the checkout line. That lady who's writing checks for her groceries, she probably has an iPhone 5C. It's probably pink. So should you upgrade mom or grandmom or your wife or your maybe your dad or grandfather? Uh, Here's the thing. I'm going to say yes because a lot of the apps are not, and a lot of the iOS upgrades, which also provide not only functionality but security, will no longer be updated for some of the older phones. That includes the Androids too. So depending which way you want to go iPhone, you want to go Android, you probably should get a newer device, probably made within the last couple of years. Less likely to be hacked into. They're going to have better cameras, and people love to take pictures. That's probably my favorite function on a phone. What's your favorite function on a phone? Mine, a lot of people say social media, but my favorite function, the number one thing I've always wanted on a phone, was a camera. You have a camera with you 24 hours a day. How has that changed the world? You know what I mean? I mean, a whole generation has pictures from their when they're babies growing up to adults. And my generation didn't have that, even though I'm the average millennial. I came up right before that because the iPhone didn't hit the market. I remember exactly when I got it. It was May 2007 when I got my first iPhone. And I said, oh my goodness, this has a camera on it. This is going to change the world. And it did. I mean, people taking videos of crimes, people taking videos of their children growing up, of graduations, of weddings. I mean, basically a video of just about everything. and pictures of just about everything that are floating all around cyberspace, and they'll be there forever. What a great way to record your life, right? I mean, our memories go. I mean, you look back at these videos, see what people look like, the way they talk, the way they spoke, people who are no longer with us. How valuable is that? So, should you upgrade? I'm going to say if your device is more than, or if your loved one's device, if your mom's device, grandmom's device, whoever's device is more than about 2 years old, yes, it's probably about time to upgrade. You can make it last a little longer. I know some people have 5-year-old phones and they're still using them fine, but you're really going to want the security updates. You're going to get, the battery's going to wear out too. So you're going to end up charging your battery 5 times a day, which is very annoying. I mean, mom's staying home all day maybe, and she's okay with that, but she probably hates it secretly. She'll probably love to get a new phone for Mother's Day. And the security patches and the cameras. I mean, just really good reasons to upgrade. And these are awesome gifts because they come from the heart. They give you safety, they give you security. You can track people's locations. You can even FaceTime. I know some of these older phones you can't FaceTime, so you want the good cameras. And also you can Skype on here's the thing, you can FaceTime only on the iPhone. But using Facebook Messenger, Skype, Zoom, or a multitude of other things, you can video conference on both of these devices on Androids. Google has this really thing, I think it's called Duo, and it works on all the Samsung, all the Android devices, and it's very cool, very, very feature-filled, robust. But there's always Skype and Messenger too, and Messenger does an amazing job with video chat. So you can keep an eye on, if your mom or dad lives 500 miles away, and you want to see what they look like, and we're getting up there in years, it's kind of nice to see their face when they're talking to you, because there are things that you can tell when people are talking to you. You can tell they're telling the truth by looking at their eyes. Like on a phone call or something, or a text message or an email, you really don't know what they're thinking, but as you look at them, they can tell they're doing this, you know. If they have a problem with what you're saying. So you really want to kind of look at them when they're telling you something. Well, Jim, I changed my will, but it's not because I don't like you. It's because a financial guy told me to do this. And he starts looking away. You know he's lying. You better drive up there and visit mom and dad and say, hey, what's going on? What did I do? I want to be in that wheel. You know what I'm talking about? All right. You have any questions, hit us up. You can hit our socials too. Look us up at Such Fun Gifts. We have a beautiful Amazon store with all these products in there. You get the iPhone 12 Pro Max, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, all that stuff, cases, accessories, wireless chargers. Get a case on these things. Protect these. These are investments, man. They're over $1,000. And it's an investment, really, in your work, in your life, in your social life, and in the life of your family as well. Average Millennial, I am out. I'll see you next on Elisha. Please subscribe, like. I don't know what you do on this platform, but follow us, I think it's called. There's a button up here somewhere, and we've got lots of great stuff coming up in the next week or so. Average Millennial, I'm out! Yeah!